These are the 8 primary manifestations of Bhairava. Each embodies a distinct cosmic power symbolizing control over different aspects of creation and dissolution. Significance of number 8. Number 8 holds deep significance in what is known as Elara Shani or Sade Sati, which means sometimes you go into a period of misfortune which is supposed to last for over 7.5 years. So 8 is a rounded number for that, so 8 is held as a very important number in astrology. You don't have to really bother about those things, but the important thing is 8. Each of the 8 forms of Bhairava manifests in 8 additional forms, giving us a multiple of 64 Bhairavas. Alongside them are 64 yoginis, their feminine counterparts, who represent we must understand this. People are thinking that these temples are places of prayer. These temples are not places of prayer. They're different types of energies. Shani means Saturn. These are temples created for the different planets in the solar system. The impact of different planets upon our own physiology, our psychological structure and the way many things happen is obvious to us in many different ways. There is a complex calculation about taking your time of birth, date of birth, and the latitude and longitude of birth. Taking these numbers, they make a complex calculation as to what are the planets which have maximum influence on you in your life. All these things are relevant to you to some extent. As I said, if you have an inner technology, you level out all these things, all these impacts. Saturn, which is a small faraway planet, takes 30 years to complete one revolution around the sun. Because it is a 30-year cycle, because there are what is called as 4 segments in a day and 4 segments in a year according to what happens on this planet. Once in 30 years, Saturn will have a certain influence upon you. So, people who come from India, what is it, Sada Sata, what's it called that in North India? Sadesat. Sadesat influence in the north, people who come from Tamil Nadu, Elara Shani, theriyundane, Elara Shani. So 7.5 years of influence of Saturn upon you will be there. At this time, you become more susceptible. It's not that you must have it. You become more susceptible to disease, depression, disasters, death. You're in the hands of D company. So, people know when their Sade Sat or Elar Shani will come, at that time they will start doing certain things so that they can bridge over these pits that may arise in their life. So there is a temple for Shani Deva. So he's been, personified as a god. Shani temples are mainly used for occult and exorcism. Even today, there will be 1 or 2 priests who are trained here. When on Saturdays or on a significant Saturday, whatever those Saturdays are, on those days, he will come and sit on a seat which is full of sharp nails. He will sit on this and attend to people's questions and problems and whatever. He will sit on this for hours on end. People come here with variety of things, largely for influence of occult, or they feel they are possessed or something like this. Because such things are done, the energies are kept in a certain way in the sanctum, which is not very conducive for a woman. Can a woman not enter there at all? She can if she is trained particularly for that. But it would be much more difficult to train a woman on these things than training a man on these things, simply because of few biological advantages man has in these areas of life. Especially a woman who is in a state of pregnancy or in menstrual cycle should never enter such a space because she is very susceptible or vulnerable at those times that she could be deeply impacted by these forces. And today somebody thinks this is discrimination. One must know the difference between discrimination and discretion. This is a certain discretion, but maybe the way it is enforced, I don't know how they've enforced, I have not been there. Maybe the way they're enforcing is crude and seems discriminatory. Probably, I'm saying, because it's not designed for them. It's not discriminatory. It's just a certain discretion, which has to be… If we don't employ discretion, then life will become very ugly and rudimentary. Don't treat every temple like it's some kind of a place of worship. It's not a place of worship. So they're designed in a certain way for a certain purpose. It needs… In southern India, half the men are named after Shiva, 1,000 different names of Shiva. So you may simply walk past Shiva, not even notice he's there. But when Shiva takes the form of Kalabhairava, there is no way of you ignoring him or missing him. For sure, you will have to wake up if such a form appears in front of you. For this job, he has to be in appropriate form. Kalabhairava is that form. In Kashi, as per the tradition, there are Ashtabhairavas or 8 forms of Bhairavas. Each positioned at a different spot throughout the city, forming a protective sacred perimeter. These are the 8 primary manifestations of Bhairava. Each embodies a distinct cosmic power, symbolizing control over different aspects of creation and dissolution. Significance of number 8. Number 8 holds deep significance in yogic traditions, in astrology, and also in modern mathematics and in our biology. It is closely associated with Kalabhairava. While some numbers in the yogic science are linked to the specific deities like 3 and 11 for Linga Bhairavi, number 8 is recognized as the number for Kalabhairava. Astrology as a science, if you can call it that, it's more an intuitive process. Number 8 is seen as a number of transformation. In the Vedic aspect of this astrological process, planet Shani or Saturn is connected to number 8. Saturn governs karma, time endurance, discipline, limitation and maturation of life. As people of Indian origin will know what is known as Elara Shani or Sade Sati, which means sometimes you go into a period of misfortune which is supposed to last for over 7.5 years. So 8 is a rounded number for that, so 8 is held as a very important number in astrology. You don't have to really bother about those things, but the important thing is 8. As discussed in the previous episode, visually the number 8 is a powerful symbol. It's a continuity. It's seen as an infinity sign. If you just turn number 8 this way, it becomes the sign of infinity. A loop that when twisted becomes sideways figure for infinity, and when placed upright or when it turns upright, it becomes the discrete number 8. This shape suggests cycles that never end, the continuous flow between material and spiritual realms, whether it is a 0 or the sign of infinity or 8, they all symbolize this cyclical moment, symbolizing karmic cycles, personal growth and evolving journey of life. The loop also represents 0, the absolute. When the loop is twisted, it becomes infinity. Each of the eight forms of Bhairava manifests in eight additional forms, giving us a multiple of 64 Bhairavas. Alongside them are 64 yoginis, their feminine counterparts, who represent complementary aspects of energy, consciousness, and nature. Together, these 64 Bhairavas and 64 yoginis form a kind of tantric map of reality, capturing both cosmic forces shaping the universe and the subtle energies operating within human consciousness and human mechanism as a physical self. The number 64 repeatedly appears across very different domains of life, science, and mathematics. In biology, for example, all known life on Earth is built using the genetic code composed of 64 codons. A codon is a sequence of nucleotides in DNA or RNA that carries instructions for building proteins, the fundamental structures and functions of living organisms. These are the basic building blocks for life on this planet. In other words, the immense diversity of life emerges from combination structure around this number. Even at the very beginning of human life, the pattern shows up. After the egg is fertilized, it begins as a single cell, then divides rapidly 1 to 2, then to 4, and 8, 16, 32, and finally 64 cells. 64 cell stage is a crucial milestone where the cells first begin to differentiate, deciding whether to become part of an actual fetus, which will become a fresh life, or supporting material around that. Beyond biology, 64 is also important in mathematics and in information systems, as everybody who's involved in information technology today knows. In computing, 64-bit architecture became foundational because powers of two naturally emerge in binary systems. In mathematics, 64 is 2 to the power of 6, meaning 6 stages of doubling. Starting from 1 unit, repeated doubling quickly produces a field of possibilities. This is why the powers of two are foundational in computing binary code, digital memory, and information structures, as the fundamentals of our biology also is rooted in that. Or in other words, we are not creating anything new in our life. We are only in some way replicating life. The more closely we observe life, the more we can create, which is lifelike. And from this basis, across various systems in this civilization that we refer to as Bharat or Hindustan, or today as a nation we are called India, 64 appears in many different ways. 64 arts of classical Indian education, 64 squares of Ashtapada or the present-day chessboard, which itself is a cosmological diagram. The 64 tantras, and in some lineages, 64 extraordinary siddhis or powers to be attained. So the number 64 appears in various forms. The worship of Kalabhairava is becoming popular these days. For whatever reasons, Kalabhairava as a name, as a sound, as a mantra is appearing in so many places. I hope I am not the culprit. That suddenly, in the last 6 to 8 months, there is so much mention of Kalabhairava all over the place. Deities experience fluctuating popularity because their worship evolves to meet socio-political, economic and emotional needs of societies across different eras. Kalabhairava, we can say, uh, is the Durandar of our times, someone who is a bit hidden but very competent. He is always hiding within you. Will you realize his presence now or in the last scene as it happened in the movie? On 3rd of March 2026, which was Palguni Paurnami or the Palguni full moon day, we held the Kalabhairava Stapana as part of consecration process at the Isha Yoga Center in Coimbatore. Kalabhairava serves as the guardian or Kshetrapala of the Kshetra that we are creating there. The Stapana means to establish. Once Kalabhairava is fully established, the Isha Yoga Center will become a true Tirtha Kshetra. Now, Kalabhairava has been established or Stapana has happened. This has happened with a certain sacrifice. No animals killed, nothing killed, nothing, just 3 coconuts were broken, that's about it. But we have to sacrifice life in some way to make things happen. No life happens just like that. If one life has to produce another life, if one embodiment of life has to create another embodiment of life, it has to in some way sacrifice a certain amount of its own life energy. So now that Stapana has happened is for all of you. Every time you go there, if you throw out a little bit of you, he will enhance himself. At the same time, the process of what we call as Kalabhairava, which is a reminder of your ignorance, that you're immortal, you think only other people die, he will cure you of this and bring to enlightenment. So every time you go there, throw something of yourself out so that that space will be filled by Kalabhairava. Sadhana should be done for Kalabhairava. It's not a time to prescribe actual sadhana, but keep this in your mind when you go to Kalabhairava temple at the Isha Yoga Center, you throw yourself out in some way. I know you can't throw yourself fully out. Even if you throw out 1% of who you are, that much of Kalabhairava will manifest within you and begin to grow. As he grows, your ignorance dissolves, as the fundamental ignorance is just this, that we start imagining what we gather as ourselves, our wealth, our money, our relationships, family, the very body and mind. We gathered all this. Fine, there's no problem. But the problem is, you start believing it's you. This ignorance, if it's not dissolved, there is no possibility of any kind of liberation. This is the ultimate freedom. So this can grow in stages within you. So this is the most fundamental thing that you do. You don't have to go there and cut a poor goat's throat. You throw a little bit of yourself out. That's how I created it. Not a little bit, a lot. You throw at least a little bit, it will happen. Well, Kalabhairava, as per the legend, happened when Shiva plucked off the vanity head of Brahma. Don't worry, I am not going to do that to you. I'm not going to pluck your head off, but I will knock on your head a little bit, so your mind works in a better way that moves towards liberation, that your mind will not become a process of entanglement. Your mind becomes intelligent enough to seek liberation, not just for you, but for everyone around you. And if you need a little extra motivation, let me knock just a little bit harder, please. Because time, after all, is running out for all of us. Namaskaram.